If you're consistent with running, but you can't seem to find the time to do exercises and stretches that support your running, this video is for you. Hi, my name is Dr. Michael. I'm a physical therapist here in Evanston, Illinois at Valiant Physical Therapy, where we specialize in working with runners. And earlier this week, I was talking to a patient who is training for the Chicago Marathon. It's June here in Chicagoland, so we are in the running season. The weather is gradually improving. It is basically summer. And this patient I was talking to is ramping up his running mileage, and he has a couple lingering aches in his knee. He's got some stuff in his calf. He's got some stuff in his ankles. It's not bad enough where he has to stop his running, but it's early enough in the season that he's like, hey, I want to get on top of this, and I want to make sure that these don't evolve into greater problems, knowing that his running volume will be gradually increasing. So he was asking me about when he can add in his cross training, and that he has 2 days of non-running days per week. He's running 5 days a week, and he's got 2 days where he's not running. So he's thinking maybe those 2 days I can do the cross training and then run the other 5. And the thing that really stands out to me about his situation is that he has a training program and he is following it to a T. He is not missing any of his runs. He told me he missed one run because he got sick. So runners and marathoners and people following a plan, running is the number one priority, okay? And people go on their runs, okay? They hit their mileage, they do that, it's in their routine, they like to do it. All the PT, rehab, exercises and stuff, everyone knows that it's good for you, but nobody really prioritizes it because it's not the running, it's not the most fun part about it. So the supplemental stuff often can get forgotten about, and that's, I just think, a natural, dynamic with the activities. We just like running more, so we want to do that more. And so he was trying to solve the problem of when is he going to do these exercises, and he was thinking, okay, there's these other 2 days during the week. But I was talking to him and I was like, listen, you're already very consistent with your running, so let's build off of that. And let's tie your exercises to the running. But what we don't want to do is create a super long routine. We don't want it to be very complicated. We want it to be very simple that you could do at home right before you go out on your run so that your run is better. So he had the two main areas of concern for him were his knees and then his ankles and calves, okay? So during the session that I had with him and I worked on establishing the 2 things that he is going to do before he runs that will prepare his knees and ankles for the run itself. So we landed on a couple things, kind of like a knee stretch for his knees, and then some variation of calf raises for his ankles and calves, okay? And the beauty of tying in something short and simple before the run is that he's already doing the running. So we know that he's going to go for the run. He didn't have any sort of pre-run routine. So putting in a couple very simple, very specific things before the run can warm up the areas enough that it improves the run. The other benefit is that we know that he's consistent with his running training program. And if he then just tacks on a couple of these simple things and he does that over time, okay, we'll start to see some changes in the tissues just because he's being consistent over time. One of the most important things with any sort of exercise is consistency over time. And it's like, if you do your exercises 1 week and then you forget the next week and then you kind of forget about them for 2 weeks in a row and then you do it a third week on that later week, there's not enough consistency to actually see change. But if he's running 5 days a week and he's not missing a day, and then we just add on these couple things before and he does them because he's a consistent guy and he's got discipline and he's already going out on the run, then he's going to do it. His runs are going to feel better. And over the course of weeks to months, those areas, his knees and his ankles and his calves, are going to steadily get better. So when you're thinking about when you're going to do the exercises that support your running, if you're not already doing a pre-run routine of some kind, that's a really, really good time to do it. So finding things that are specifically helpful to the areas that you're concerned about. Let me re-say that. Finding a couple things that are specifically helpful to your hot spots or the areas that you know need a little bit of attention can be really helpful to make your running better, especially when you're in the middle of training season and you don't really have a lot of time to carve out a 30-minute or an hour workout on separate days. 5 to 10 minutes right before you run is really all you need. And one last tip on this is it might be a good idea to wait. If you run in the morning, it might be a good idea to wake up like 15 minutes earlier just to get this stuff done. So let me kind of nail that down a little bit more. So it's very easy sometimes for us to think of time in terms of like 5 o'clock, 5:30, 6 o'clock, 6:30. I used to wake up at 5 all the time. And then when you wake up at 5, you kind of like open your phone and you look at the screen to wake up. You're kind of groggy, you walk around. And then by the time you know it, you look at your watch or you look at the clock and it's 5:15, it's 5:20. So you woke up at 5, but you spent the first 15 to 20 minutes just kind of like effing around. And I'm guilty of that. I do that. I'm sure a lot of you do that. And that's just kind of part of it. So instead of waking up at 5, I've started to wake up at 4:45 so that I bank a little bit of that time and say, okay, like if I get up within 10 minutes of when my alarm goes off, I'm out of bed by 4:55. And then by the time I go to the bathroom and I start, I'm actually up and ready to start like thinking about stuff by 5 o'clock, 5:05. So that little trick of like actually waking up at like 4:45 instead of 4:30 or 5 o'clock can carve out that little bit of time for you to, do that pre-run routine before you actually go out on the run. So if you found this video helpful, share it to a friend that you think might also benefit from this information. And if you are going to be doing this, drop that in the comments. And thanks for watching.